Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I will be reviewing a game that I played against this FIDE master during Title Tuesday. If you guys are unfamiliar with what Title Tuesday is, it's just a weekly tournament on chess.com for title players like myself. And we play blitz in the format of 3 minutes plus 1 second increment. And in this game, I managed to trap my higher rated opponent's queen in the middle of the board. So without further ado, let's see how that happened. So I was white and I started off with e4. And after e4, he played c5, which is the Sicilian. And here I played a kind of funky looking move, which is b4. So this is known as the Wing Gambit in the Sicilian. And basically the idea is that if he takes like he did in the game, now my pawns in the center can kind of go a little less contested because his c-pawn is not attacking my d4 square anymore. So here, a3, this is all theory. And here he played a very weird move, which was b3. So basically, as you can see from the analysis, that's not a great move because the idea for the Wing Gambit is white sacrifices his pawn in order to get like centralized pieces and good like activity. But basically my opponent was like, no, I'm not having any of that. I am just going to give you the pawn back and then play like a normal position without any theory. Now the funny thing is, this exact same position occurred in my game against Grandmaster Alexey Sarana. So please, after this video, check out that game where I almost drew a Grandmaster in this exact same variation. So here, I took the pawn. He played d6, which is just normal. And then the next few moves are basically all just like both sides developing pieces, so I won't really say too much about it. Knight c3, knight f6, and we have a couple more moves. Here he decides he wants to fianchetto his bishop. That's all good. I'm just developing my pieces. We haven't really gotten to the crux of the game yet. And now here is important moment number 1, I believe, which is I played h3, which I think is a very good move because here it serves like a dual purpose. So one purpose obviously is to just stop bishop g4 because if he gets to trade my knight, then my d4 pawn becomes weaker. He might have e5 strikes, stuff like that. Another thing is I want to play bishop e3 in this position. However, there's a common idea, which is knight g4, like that. And then black attacks your bishop, and since you don't really want to trade your dark square bishop for black's knight, just because your bishop is better in this situation than their knight, then you would have to move it again, and that's like a waste of time. So h3 here stops both knight g4 and bishop g4. So I thought that was a good move. So bishop d7, his bishop doesn't really have any other great squares, so he just gets out of the way, connects his rooks, all good. Bishop e3, again, I'm developing my pieces to natural squares. And here, rook c8, rook c1, and here is the critical moment. So before I go onto his move, which was 12 queen a5, I must say that in this position, the computer already likes white. So white is already, as you can see from the eval bar on the left side, white is better by approximately 1 point, okay? So because black gave the pawn back at the beginning of the opening, he hasn't really tested white's position. As you can see, I have these strong central pawns. Black does not have lots of central control, and there's really nothing wrong with my position. However, my opponent says, well, I think there is something wrong with your position, and that would be this a3 pawn. So because my rook just moved to c1, well, he's like, oh, now a3 is a weakness, right? So queen a5. That's a very, very logical move. Now here's the funny thing. I believe I achieved either the exact same position or an extremely similar position in my game against Grandmaster Alexey Sarana. So again, go check that game out. Of course, the Grandmaster did a bit better. He did not lose to me. He ended up beating me. But I'm pretty sure this is just good for white, and here's why. So here I played the stunning move b4. Basically what I'm saying is, well, yeah, go ahead and take my pawn, but now your queen's gonna be kind of stuck on my side of like the chessboard, and it might get stuck. And basically, I knew this idea worked because of my game against Grandmaster Alexey Sarana, and my opponent unfortunately did not know that it works. So after queen takes a3, knight b5 is the idea. I originally thought b5 was like the move, but b5 is actually not that great. As you can see, the eval bar like completely shifted in black's favor. So instead, knight b5, very good move. Queen takes b4, and now here's the key move, bishop d2. So bishop d2 is the key move because it stops black's queen from retreating through a5. So if, let's say in this position, white does something completely random, like king h1. Okay, I don't understand why you would play that. Here, even if black doesn't have anything else in the position, he can just go queen a5, and next move, his queen is escaping. So there's no way we're trapping black's queen. So that is the point of bishop d2. And he goes queen b2, basically the only move. And bishop c3. And here, black's position is already lost. As you can see from the eval bar, it's plus 2.16 for white. Now here, apparently, the best move is queen takes c1, which made no sense to me whatsoever. And obviously, that does not seem like a good move. Unfortunately, queen a2, which my opponent played, is even worse because after rook a1, queen e6, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to find the winning move. Okay, so in this position, the winning move was knight g5, and surprisingly, black's queen is trapped. Just like that. It's in the middle of the board, it can't go anywhere. The coordination of my rook, my queen, my pawn on e4, that I gained this massive center because he gave the pawn back with 4b3 or 3b3, whatever move it was. So now his queen's actually just trapped and he can't really do too much about it. However, the game wasn't over yet. He put up a good fight and actually made things pretty complicated for me. So let's see how the game basically ended. Knight takes e4, I took the queen, there were some trades, rook c1, which was actually a mistake because I let him just take on d4, bishop d3, e5, and here, knight d5, I came in, I'm trying to attack him, so basically, I'm definitely winning in this position, but because he has so many pawns, it's not that simple. Like, I mean, obviously the computer is like plus 4.06 because, like, I have an extra queen, but, I mean, it's not that simple. But I still managed to pull it off. Let's see how I finish it. Rook takes c1, queen takes c1, e4, a nice tactic, a nice try, because if I make the horrific blunder of taking on e4, he goes knight e2, and oh no, my queen and my king are forked, and I'm actually just dead lost here. Because, you know, I'm down like, what, like 3 pawns or something? So, bishop c4, I'm keeping my bishop on that diagonal. And then e6, he's just attacking my knight. Knight c3, so in case my bishop has to move somewhere off of this diagonal, then my knight is guarding e2. d5, bishop e2, rook c8. Here I blundered a piece because, as you can see, if I like move my queen somewhere like queen d2, he can take my knight because I cannot take back because of the same fork. So because of that, I played bishop d1. He took, and here again I cannot take because discovered attack on my queen. However, the game is still good for me. Queen f4, e5. And now here I infiltrate queen g5, knight e6, queen e7, rook c7, and now bishop g4. And basically, the game is over here because I'm simply breaking through. Knight f8, queen d6. I win some pawns, and the rest of the game isn't too interesting. So we're just going to fast forward to the end, where eventually I sacrifice my rook for the bishop just to get rid of his passed a pawn, and now the rest of the conversion is just easy. I win the e4 pawn, and then game over. I'm gonna win g7 next. So all in all, I thought that was a really interesting opening and a really interesting beginning of the game. Obviously, this is a blitz game. You guys know I'm not the best at blitz, so the conversion and the liquidation was not the cleanest, especially when I gave up a whole knight on c3, but I ended up still winning what I think was a really nice game. If you like this game review, please remember to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and turn on notifications. And I guess I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.